Do you need a multi-tool? At least an oscillating one? We'll find out in just a moment. I'm Tim Johnson. You're watching Shop Tool Reviews. This is the brand new RYOBI 1+ HP oscillating multi-tool. Now the 1+ means it runs on their 18-volt platform, and the HP line is part of their high performance line that's brand new out this year. They started out with their HP Compact series. Now they've branched out into their full-blown HP line where they're trying to stretch into that pro category. Now, does it fit the bill? Well, we shall see. Now, there are some upgrades to this from their previous model that we really like on here. One is it's a brushless design. So all the HP tools include the brushless motor. Now, price on this for the bare tool, which model number is the PBLMT50B for the bare tool, or if you get the kit, that's going to include a 2 amp hour battery as well as a charger. Bare tool is going to run you $99. The kit with the 2 amp hour battery and the charger is only $129. So another $30 and you're buying a 2 amp hour battery and the charger with it. Not a bad deal, especially with a tool like this. A lot of times you're doing small work, so a 2 amp hour battery should be just fine. Now, if you find yourself using one of these all the time, you may want to step up to a 3 amp hour, 4 amp hour, and so forth. Now, I think a 3 amp hour is a good fit for this if the 2 amp hour is not big enough, because getting any bigger, it just becomes a, kind of an out of balance tool. Before I talk too much, let's dive in, look at the features up close. Let's have a good look at this. Then we'll use it. Then we'll come back and wrap it up. This is the new RYOBI 1+ HP multi-tool or oscillating multi-tool. And this is part of their 1+ HP lineup. So 18 volt, obviously 1+ platform, and their HP meaning high performance tools, their new high performance line that we've covered a lot of their tools already. Now this is an upgrade from their previous multi-tool or from their previous oscillating tool. You get a dial here that goes from 10,000 oscillations per minute up to 20,000 oscillations per minute. And one thing I like about this dial is it's accessible from either side of this tool. Here's what I mean by this. So if you're holding the tool on your handle like this, I can easily reach that dial with this finger. And I'll show you here in a moment when we're actually cutting. Or let's say I've got the tool flipped upside down and I'm needing to cut. I can also access the dial with my thumb there. So there's many times where you're using it blade up, cutting into something, and again, you've got accessibility to that dial. This way, I've got easy accessibility with my index finger, even if I'm holding it this way, kind of mid-tool, and there's sometimes I'll do that as well. I can easily, with my middle finger, be able to access that dial. I've heard a lot of people say they'd really like to see a trigger here. I typically like a trigger or a paddle. However, totally understand on this tool that this dial is accessible, easily accessible, and I'm usually not feathering a multi-tool. Usually I'll set the tool speed and make my cuts and don't worry about feathering that trigger. Just rare circumstances do I need to do that. So you have an on-off switch here, so you can arm the tool, set your speed or set your speed, and then turn the tool on, what have you, and then you can turn it off. You also get tool-free blade change. So you see the lever here on the top. There's no Allen head here, no Allen screw or anything else that you have to take off. You just flip this up and then you go all the way forward, and that's going to basically push this up, and you flip this little guy, slide it over, flip it up, and use one of the blades. By the way, there's some blades supplied. And you'll notice also there's a couple of magnets here, so it kind of sets holds the blade in place. Used to kind of have to hold that with one hand and screw in the Allen screw with the other. Not the case anymore. Those magnets are going to hold it on. Flip that down, flip this lever down, and now that guy is locked into place. Flip it back up, flip this guy up, and then take that off. Now, what you also get with the kit here is you get the tool, as well as, even if you get the bare tool, then you're also going to get these other blades as well. So you get the standard blade as we saw right here, and then you get the half moon blade as well, depending on what type of cuts you're needing to make. And you also get a sanding pad, the backing plate, as well as some 60, 80, and 120 grit sandpaper. So you can use this as a sander. Now, one thing I'm not crazy about, but again, taking into consideration of an Allen head would be the same way, is that I can't have the sanding or I can't have the sandpaper on here to change out this tool. So if I've got the sanding pad on here and I've got the sandpaper on here, I cannot flip this up and change this tool out. No matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm going to have to take my sandpaper off, flip this guy up, and then take that off. Again, that would be the same case even if it was an Allen head screw on there or what have you. Just making the point that it would be nice if there was a way that you could change out this type of tool, like the sanding pad, without having to take the sandpaper off. And that's a little bit of a pain to kind of get your finger in to slide that guy over. But again, it's not a big deal whatsoever. Put your sandpaper on and go to town, take it off. And it is hook and loop, so it's easy to take that on and off. But thought that was worth mentioning. Again, slide that over and pull that off. By the way, this is going to fit the majority of your blades, whether you're using a Dremel style blade, Starlock style blade, what have you, should be able to fit most of those. And again, that tool-free adjustment allows you to move that blade around where you need to without having to have another tool on board or to carry an extra tool or what have you. Now this is the model number PBLMT50, but otherwise known as the HP Oscillating Multi-Tool. Now let's get a weight here with the battery and the blade on here. So I'm going to put a 3 amp hour battery. I think that's a fair battery to test with. You can get this with a 2 amp hour battery. I'm using it with the 3 amp hour, but just give you an idea here. Looking at a little over 3.5 pounds. So 3 pounds, 10 ounces. So a little over 3.5 pounds with the battery and the blade on there. So not really a heavy tool. Pretty comfortable tool. It's an interesting design with the handle that kind of tapers up right here. And as I mentioned, it does work out really nice that I can reach this dial with no problem, regardless of kind of where I've got my hand configured. And even upside down, be able to set that speed dial, which is 1 through 6, which again is going to tell you whether you're at 10,000 RPMs or up to 20,000 RPMs. Now, one thing that is interesting is you only get your mark here on the left-hand side. I wish they had kind of a dual set of numbers, but it looks like this thing turns more than 180 degrees, so that'd be almost impossible. But you see you have your mark here that's marking the speed, this little arrow, where on this side, this is not your speed. So you would have to look here, or I don't think you're going to be looking there anyway, because you can just kind of dial in the speed you need. And you can hear whether it's going faster or slower. But again, when I'm upside down, I can still access that, or right side up. Let's go ahead and get some measurements on this while we're at it. So as far as length of the tool, you're looking at from the tip all the way to the end of the battery, about 13.5 inches. And again, depending on what battery is going to determine how long that'll be. If you're looking at just the tool, you're looking at 11.5 inches long. Width of the head, you're looking at, 1.7 inches for the width of the head. So pretty narrow head. I like how they've really slimmed this down and kept that nice and slim, either way, even all the way through the body. Brushless motor is going to help with that, and they can still build some horsepower without having a huge canned motor in there or the need to do that. And then as far as the depth, and we'll go from the bottom of the blade holder. So you're looking at 4.26 inches, so almost 4.3 inches from the bottom of the tool holder to the top release mechanism. Something else I meant to mention is the LED light here on the front that's going to cast that light right down where you're making those cuts. So that's nice to have. I know a lot of times you may be on the floor or in a closet, something like that, trying to make cuts. That makes it really nice. Or maybe even in a vehicle working on the body panel, trying to open up a space. That light can come in very, very handy. Okay, so what we're going to do here, going to start with some 1x and just cut a little 1x, see if we can't cut through it, and then we'll work up to a 2x4, some hardwood, and then maybe even do some cutting through some nails, some staples, that sort of thing. Okay, about halfway through, I turned it up. I'm going to go ahead and turn it all the way up and see if we can't cut through a little faster. That's pretty impressive. For a multi-tool, you always want to keep that blade moving. So you want to move it around. If you set it in one place, it's more likely to just kind of sit there and vibrate. Now, as far as vibration in the tool, you do feel some vibration when it's on high, maybe a little less in the middle. Let me check here. So I'm going to put it on 3. I can't say that I feel a difference in vibration, so I'd probably put it on high as long as we're cutting through something, big like this. And it's not anything bad, but you do feel some of that vibration. So cuts rather quickly, and this is with the stock blade on it. I know typically there's a lot better blades that you can use, some Japanese tooth blades, stuff like that. But as far as the stock blade, with this tool, it's cutting rather well. Let's put some 2x4 in here and see if we can see something different. All right, here we go. Okay, I got a little too greedy there. I was trying to cut a really thin cookie there, but got a little bad on the backside and didn't get that through. We'll try one more. So as far as power goes, it definitely has the power to cut through, whether it's 2x, 1x, baseboard is going to be very easy. A little bit of vibration in it, and it's not the fastest cutting tool in the world, but again, I think you'll see a lot of difference just in changing to a better blade on this. But for the $99 that it is for the bare tool, it's kind of hard to beat so far. So again, if you're in the RYOBI platform, I think you'd be very happy with it. So let's cut something else and see what we think. Okay, so now we've got a piece of 1x that's been stapled on to this piece of pressure treated. And so I'm just going to cut along here like we'd be cutting under a door jamb or something like that, and see if we can't cut that 1x rather quickly. finally, we'll make some cuts here in some of this wood that has obviously some brad nails in it, some staples in it, and see how well we do there. So even cutting through those nails, again, that's going to be a big, blade selection there is what's going to make a big difference in that. But as far as power, you're not going to notice that. Ergonomics on this tool is pretty impressive. Again, for a $99 tool, it does rather well. I think that I can get to the controls rather easily. Would I like to see a trigger or paddle? Again, it doesn't bother me. I have heard other people say they would rather see a trigger on it. For this type of tool, for a multi-tool, I typically like to kind of set the speed and then leave it, and I may dial it a little more, but I don't need a trigger on this, so that doesn't bother me. I do, again, like the fact that I can, whether I've got it upside down, work it with my thumb, or right side up and work it with my index finger. I can dial that speed in where I need it. The tool-free design is nice. Again, would I like a better design? Maybe, but it's not bad at all that I can flip that up. I don't have to get an extra tool, and I can just slide this over, pop it up, and make my blade changes with no other tools necessary. So that's a definite perk, and it's going to work for the majority of your blades. Now, as far as vibration, yes, there is a little vibration in the tool, but let's face it, you're turning 10 to 20,000 RPM or OPMs, oscillations per minute. So you're definitely going to get a little feedback from it. Do other tools do a better job of it? Sure. But again, you're typically going higher up the price scale as well. So where do I see this fitting? That Finnish carpenter that's using one of these all the time, I doubt they're going to buy this RYOBI. It's not going to be bad. I think it's going to work for them. It's going to make the cuts, especially as you turn up, go up the scale on blades, it's going to cut even better. But typically you're going to buy a finer tool, a more expensive tool. That DIYer, that entry-level person that's making a few cuts, doing flooring, things like that, cutting baseboards, cutting door frames, things like that, this is a great tool for you. Or you're in automotive and you're just using it from time to time to, whether you're, cutting out floorboards or having to get into special nooks to cut things out, even into glass work, things like that, where you need to get a blade into certain areas that are very small or very thin. Again, a great tool for you because it's not killing you as far as the bank account, but it's still going to perform for you. If you're a RYOBI lover, you already have the RYOBI platform, you already have the RYOBI batteries, hey, by all means, grab this multi-tool. Everybody needs a multi-tool. I shouldn't say that. Everybody doesn't need one, but it's one of those tools that once you have it, once you realize you have it and what it will do, you start finding more and more uses for it. They're definitely great to have in your tool arsenal. Hey, be sure to check it out. Again, it's the OnePlus HP. We'll include a link in the description. We've also covered a lot of their other HP lineup, so we'll include a link to some of those as well. Also, if you wouldn't mind, would you keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter? And if you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe button, but only if you like this video. If you hated this video, give us a thumbs down, but would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day and keep smiling.